Just going to do a little video here tonight as I'm checking out the Monday Night Football game. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the basketball league and give you some insight on both football and basketball. So let's get right into it. On screen, you can see here Zion Williamson. That's my guy for the Saints. And he is going to miss tonight's action once again with that hamstring injury. Let's just take a look at the news on Zion. He's been ruled out for Monday's game against the Thunder. Williamson was tagged as questionable leading up to Monday's matchup, but will ultimately be unable to go. He'll continue to be considered day to day with the hamstring injury and has kept him sidelined since the 2nd of November. So this is just a casual video, guys. I'm not going to get to the point too much. I'm going to pause here and there for, just to cut out the BS and then move on to important information. There were transactions today in the NBA Retro League, and I'll go over some of those. It was kind of an active day, and I think a lot of you guys are starting to get the hang of this league and getting the cap. I noticed that some minimum salary guys went today. These are the guys that make about $579,000. Very affordable players and very useful players. If you have a few bucks in the bank, you can pick these guys up and they can help you out in a pinch, because these are the guys that get sent to the G League a lot of times, or the D League. And every once in a while they come up to the big club because of an injury, and they put together pretty nice games. And a lot of times these guys are very efficient per minute, plus they have that incentive to play well because it's limited opportunity. And a lot of times you're going to get some really quality minutes out of these guys that are two-way players. And it was nice to see that a lot of you guys were taking interest in those players. I know I do. And there are tricks and secrets, not really secrets, but just if you're diligent in this league, there are ways to find these guys. And I'll get into some of that in this video. But I'm just going to kind of bounce around, probably go over transactions, and then maybe look at the football game a little bit. I won't be able to put it on screen because there'll be a copyright issue, and this video won't make it to YouTube. But, I'll check in there and see what's going on, and then I'll get back to you guys. I might pause the video, and it'll flow, trust me, because I'll just pause it, cut out the parts where I'm not doing anything, and just string it together. So at any rate, we'll look at transactions first. And right off the top here, Musa Sis is a guy that went to the Denver Nuggets today. This is a guy I was interested in, a center who is definitely a two-way player right now. Just taking a look at the notes on him. It says Sis will start Monday's game against the Timberwolves. This was from November the 17th, so that's today. And he's going to make his first start of the season tonight. And if you look at the games he's played of recent times, not a lot of minutes here, but pretty good quality per minute for the most part. He's hitting the 50% mark in points, fantasy points per minute. Good strong pickup here by the Nuggets. That's AJ Nardi's team. I like it because you look here in the notes and you can see that Daniel Gafford's going to miss some time. Anthony Davis, once again, he's injured. Derek Lively. They're all having trouble with injuries. These are all veterans, and this guy is going to get a chance to get some serious playing time tonight with the Mavs. And that bodes well for the Denver Nuggets. That's the number one team in our league right now. They're undefeated still. And if Sis comes in and has a game tonight, all the better for Denver. If you look at the Nuggets lineup here at center, you can see that they've got Derek Queen, the rookie, and Victor Wembanyama. And Wembanyama apparently has a problem here with an injury. He is out indefinitely, it says. He's expected back on the 2nd of December, so this is news. I didn't know about this. Multiple weeks is the report on Wembanyama. He's been diagnosed with a strained left calf. This is a common injury these days. So looks like he's going to be out the rest of this month. That's like 2 months. And if you look at it, if he comes up in December, if he comes back on December the 2nd, you can look at his games ahead here, upcoming games. I love that about this site. You get all this great information. And you can count down the game periods. You can see this is the current game period, Monday through Thursday. He misses a game here, so he won't play in this game. Then the weekend games, he had one game scheduled that was on Sunday. He'll miss that one. So there's two games the Nuggets are going to miss with Wembanyama. Then next week, you got the Monday through Thursday period. He played one game. He had one game scheduled for that period. He will not make that one. There's three games. Then the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he had two games scheduled. He will miss all of that. That's four games. And the next chance he has to play, it looks like December the 2nd. So he's going to miss four games. Maybe he comes back for that fifth game, and he has two opportunities in that game period from December 1st through the 4th to play. He has two games scheduled. Those are back-to-back games. Hard to say what will happen with him, but that's a big loss right there. Victor Wembanyama, and perhaps the Nuggets are going to be a little bit vulnerable with that one. They are 8-0, like I said, so that's a pretty big injury, and a guy like Musa Sis is going to be a key for them if they're going to survive this injury. I look at some of the other guys on the team. You've got Domantas Sabonis who can play some center, so that's a good thing. But these guys here, Musa Sis and Queen, and, well, that's it. They are all just center eligible, it looks like. So it will be interesting to see how AJ's Nuggets get through this situation. So getting back to the transactions here, next up is the Warriors. They picked up Brandon Williams, point guard, and they released, well, this is going to be a tough name for me. Let's have a look here. We got Vit Krejci, I guess. Pretty good player, actually. You can see here on screen. You can make notes in this on this website. You just click the little notepad there, and you can type notes, and you can see I said interested. This is a guy, I wrote that back in the preseason. So I was interested in Krejci, whatever his name is. I like this player. So somebody of note, let's see what he's making here. 2.34 million, not too bad. Maybe we'll make some room for this guy, or one of you guys will. I don't know, but seems like a decent player. And Phil Johnson. He's a good owner, though. He knows what he's doing. Apparently, he liked Brandon Williams. And let's have a look at the notes on Brandon here, why he picked him up. First off, the salary. Brandon making about 2.27, so it was pretty much an even swap in salaries. Brandon Williams, undrafted out of Arizona. And it says that he finished Wednesday's 123 to 114 loss to the Suns with 17 points. He shot 7 of 13, solid, above 50% for a guard. You got to like that. Went to the line a little bit, hit 3 free throws in 3 attempts, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, 33 minutes. He's playing starter level minutes is Brandon Williams. The last game out, only 6, almost 7 minutes. Not quite a great game, and not really from fantasy points standpoint either. 2.09 fantasy points to 6, almost 7 minutes. That's definitely not going to get you into the box score, but the previous game was pretty good. And he's had some games, and it looks like he is someone that the Dallas Mavericks have some faith in. They do give him minutes on occasion. So one of those guys that can be valuable in this NBA Retro League because it is best ball. Your best guys are going to rise to the box score. And those of you that play in the league know how I do it. I download the stats, and you get 48 minutes per position. So it's not your granddad's basketball league. It's definitely more thorough in terms of game results. You only have so many minutes per position. And I spent a lot of time on this league for that reason. I wanted to be very realistic because I wouldn't play any other game. I played a lot of fantasy basketball leagues, and I've always been disappointed with every bit of them, every one of them. They're just not good enough. This game could be really fun, fantasy basketball, when it's done right. And this league I created is based on one I played in the 90s. It was called Dream Season Sports, and they were in business for about 7-8 years. They finally got tired of doing it because they weren't making enough money, but they had an excellent fantasy basketball league. It was the same thing I'm doing, except for they had their own little proprietary scoring system. And I think theirs was probably better than mine. Mine is, I just simplified it down to efficiency rating. It's all based on the efficiency rating, which is kind of the same thing they were doing. It's based on field goal percentages, rebounds, not missing shots, not turning the ball over, taking the ball away from the opponent. Just good fundamental basketball. At any rate, Brandon Williams goes to the Warriors. Solid pickup there. Just kind of a straight deal for them. And the Warriors, they are the number 2 team right now. Their only loss came against the Denver Nuggets. And the Warriors are going to be there at the end of the season when we do our playoffs after the All-Star break and into mid-March. This team's going to be in the mix. I do want to switch gears here and talk a minute about what William did today for the Houston Rockets. As you all know, there was a little bit of drama as William dropped below the league minimum of 12 players. He was able to get down to 8 players. I thought I had the settings right to where you couldn't do that, but apparently I didn't. But I did fix that, so you can't do that anymore. You won't be able to drop below 12. But I did contact William right away and informed him of the situation. I said, if you could just, put some bids in today and get your roster back to 12, that would be great. And he complied, happily. And it's all good, William. No problem with that. He got right to 12 players. He got all his bids in, and they were all successful today. So let's have a look at what William did. His team is struggling, as some of you might realize. He's 1-7 on the season right now. And if you remember in the preseason draft, his first round draft pick was Klay Thompson. I think he didn't have a first round pick, perhaps. Or he did. I cannot remember. I could check it out right here, actually. Just hold on one sec here. Let's have a look at Klay. He was drafted in the first round. That's right. 7th pick overall by Williams. So as you know, in our draft, you can take a rookie or you can take a veteran. And so William, with the 7th pick, decided to take Klay Thompson, who is definitely over the hill as a player. Even as a sharpshooter, he wasn't really a great fantasy player because he lacks the rebounds and the other numbers that it takes to be good in fantasy basketball. But he's not even shooting lights out anymore. And I think that's pretty indicative by his stat line. Look at the field goal percentage there on the year. He's playing 21 minutes and shooting just 33%. It's pretty obvious Klay Thompson is done as a impact player in the NBA. And what's shocking is that the Warriors, not the Warriors, but his team right now, his current team, the Dallas Mavericks, are paying this guy about $17 million. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. $17 million for a sharpshooter that is over the hill. Finally, William did the right thing and he let him go here in fantasy basketball. So Klay Thompson, that cleared out about $17 million. Santi Aldama, another guy. Now I like Aldama. I think he's a decent player. And he released Santi this Monday. Santi Aldama making $18.5 million. So I can understand he's trying to clear out some cap space, maybe go a different direction with this organization. He also got rid of Kevin Porter. Now, Porter's had an injury all season long, so that's a smart move right there. Get rid of Kevin Porter because he's not doing anything for you. And Porter was making about $5 million. That's not chump change. You could do something with that money. The big release today was Karl Anthony Towns. Now, that freed up a lot of money. Karl Anthony was making $53 million. So William freed up quite a bit of cap space there with that release. I guess he figured maybe I'm not competing right now. Maybe just go another direction. I think Towns, I'm not really sure. If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't having a terrible season. Let's just have a look at the numbers. Actually, he was. 42% shooting for a big man. Oof. He does get to the line and makes those free throws at a 90% clip. 12 rebounds, solid for a center. 2.4 turnovers. A little high on the turnovers, averaging about 20 points. He's not living up to the $53 million salary, that's for sure. And I think that the Knicks are feeling that. And as you can see here on their game log, they're actually winning games right now. They're trailing tonight's game against Miami 55-51, but the Knicks actually have been putting together quite a few wins. I'm not sure who's getting it done for them, but Karl Anthony Towns kind of playing subpar basketball right now. William did free up $53 million, though. And the other big one that he did was T.J. McConnell. McConnell making about $10 million. And he's a really good role player at point guard. But William just wanted to free up the money, apparently. So he picks up Jamal Murray from the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray making about 46.3 million and shooting 46% roughly this year. He gets to the line, a modest amount of times, does shoot very well there. 6 assists. He can play the shooting guard position, which makes him semi-valuable, 20 points a game. A little bit high on the turnovers, in my opinion, but we'll see how it works out for William. There were some good games here, some bad games. He had a good one on November 7th here, it looks like, against the Golden State Warriors. But okay, that's one of his pickups. He also picks up Trey Jones of the Chicago Bulls. As you can see, interested. I was interested in Trey Jones, the fifth-year man out of Duke, second-round pick. And let's just have a look at what Trey's been doing this year. 49% shooting, solid. He's getting to the line, too. He's making 4 free throws per game, 85% clip, about 5-6 assists a game, 4 rebounds. Not bad for a point guard / shooting guard. Yeah, not a bad player there, Trey Jones. See some of the recent performances. Not so hot against Detroit there, but a good game against San Antonio. Decent game against Cleveland. It's an all right game. Had a good game against Milwaukee on the 7th. Struggled a little bit there against Philly on the 4th. But they made a big move there, getting Trey Jones. Just going different directions here. Again, let's look at the salary here on Trey. $8 million, yeah, reasonable. Jaden McDaniels he picks up also. Jaden for $24.4 million. That's quite a salary there. But he's shooting about 55%. That's solid for a small forward there. He's not really attacking the rim much. Modest number of rebounds, assists, kind of high on the turnovers. We'll see how this one works out for William. Jaden McDaniels. And McDaniels is in his 5th year out of the University of Washington. He is a very popular player. You can see he's rostered 97% of leagues in the Fantrax system. And finally, Royce O'Neal, the role player veteran. Royce making 10 bills. Not a cheap salary, but Royce can do it for you sometimes. Shooting 44% this year. Not really a scoring type player, just kind of a role player. Who knows how this one will work out? I'm not seeing a lot to be impressed by other than maybe these 2 games. Phoenix on the 10th. Dallas, no, it was not Phoenix, but New Orleans on the 10th. He plays for Phoenix. He played Dallas on the 12th, and he scored pretty good there. He scored pretty good there on the 8th, too, against the Clippers. I know William's a Clipper fan. Maybe he watched that game. He watched these back-to-back games, and Royce O'Neal was making some noise in those games, I have a feeling, and it stuck with William, and he decided to pick him up for $10 million. We'll have to see how that all works out for the Houston Rockets, William Slavy's team here in the Retro League. Just want to switch gears again real fast and check in on that football game. I'm watching the Raiders and the Cowboys on Monday Night Football, and pretty low-scoring affair so far. Early on, it was a lot of field goals. It was a Raider run stuff right there. We are in the second quarter, 11 minutes and counting in the game. 2nd and 10. Cowboys 10-6. Back to throw is Prescott. Has a completion on the right side. Not sure who that is, number 3, but yeah, the Cowboys, not quite the team that everybody thought they were going to be this year, huh? 3 wins, 5 losses, and a tie. And the Raiders, of course, doing their thing, 2 wins, 7 losses. I remember, I'm a Rams fan, and I remember in the preseason after the game, the Rams played against the Cowboys. I guess the coach of the Cowboys said, "We'll see you guys in January." And the Rams commentators that were, in one of the podcasts following the game were kind of skeptical of that comment. Didn't think that was really going to happen. And the way things are playing out, they look like they might have been spot on that one. Kind of a boring game. It's not one that I really wanted to watch. Cowboys Raiders, a different kind of matchup though. Got to say, you don't think you see the Cowboys and the Raiders play all that often. Playing out there in Vegas, isn't it a bummer that the Raiders went to Vegas and left Oaktown? Yeah, that ball definitely bounced off the grass. But I'll get back to basketball here and finish off those transactions. I think I'm going to take a break real quick. And when I come back, we'll take a look at what my Saints did in free agency, what the Carolina Copperheads did, and there was a move made by the Chuck and Heat Checks. That's Kagan Jacobson's team, Kagan from Idaho, and the Alberta Cowboys made a move. Carolina Copperheads as well. So hang in there, guys. I'll be right back. And I am back, and we are about to wrap this thing up. We're going to take another look at transactions from this period, the end of period 8, and maybe at the end of the show here, I'll recap all the final scores if you haven't checked them out on the website yet under the message board heading Week 8 box scores. Well, I would just skip the end of the show, but if you've already seen them, I'll just rehash the scores really quickly, and we'll be done with this thing, and I'll watch the rest of that Monday Night Football game. So at any rate, I was talking about the Carolina Copperheads made a deal today. They picked up Tim Hardaway of the Denver Nuggets. Player shooting 48%. Hardaway plays shooting guard and small forward. And let's check on the salary here for Tim. You got a guy making a reasonable $2.3 million. Not really sure what the Copperheads needed there. He is basically coming off the bench right now for his team, the Nuggets. That is the real life team. And apparently he's playing pretty well here. The notes are saying that Hardaway drew a rare start Saturday against the Timberwolves and performed at a high level, but he'll return to his typical bench role Monday with Cameron Johnson returning to the court. Hardaway is averaging 11 points, about 2 rebounds, and about 2 assists over 11 games off the bench this season. So it's always good to have a good role player on your team, a good bench player, especially because it's best ball. If for some reason he gets more minutes, he could really fill up the box score for you. So it makes a lot of sense there. Tim Hardaway going to the Copperheads. My team, the Saints, we decided to go with some cheap prospect type guys, not really prospects, but kind of two-way players. Pat Spencer picked up by the Saints, point guard for the Warriors. And you know that they always get the good players there in Golden State. They know how to scout these unknown guys. And that's pretty much what I was going off of, picking up Pat Spencer. I released another guard that wasn't really producing much for me. I dropped Keaton Wallace to pick up Pat Spencer. Spencer making a very reasonable $579,000 in this league. And currently he's shooting just 35%, but he has shown the ability to get to the rim, get fouled, and he's really limiting the turnovers. He has more steals than he does turnovers. When he plays, he can be pretty valuable. In the notes here, it says that Spencer isn't always a consistent part of the rotation for the Warriors, but he stepped up in garbage time for a season-high 12 points. I just picked him up just in case. I really don't need him, but should this guy put in a good game, even if it's just a few minutes, it will benefit this team because as it is best ball, it's basically they're sorted not on their overall points, but their points per minute production. So if this guy has more points per minute than other point guards on the team, he is going to rise and get those minutes in my box score, and that will help this team out. Another free agent move I made was a guy named Naquan Tomlin for the Cavaliers. He plays the forward positions, both small forward and power forward. Of course, small forward's always valuable in this league, always valuable in general. Wingmen are hard to come by, especially good quality ones. So far, Naquan is shooting 52% roughly from the floor. He plays about 13 minutes a game, averaging 6 points a game. He's got 3 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, and just 0.3 turnovers. I love those numbers. That ratio is excellent. Let's look at the notes here. Tomlin was a healthy DNP for the first 9 of the first 11 games of the regular season, but he saw extended playing time Wednesday against the Heat due to absences of Donovan Mitchell, who they were resting, Evan Mobley, who was also resting, Darius Garland, who's out with a toe right now, and Jalen Tyson, who's on concussion protocol. Even with Mitchell and Mobley returning Thursday, Tomlin still saw meaningful minutes off the bench and ended up finishing as the Cavaliers' second leading scorer behind Donovan Mitchell. Very impressive there. Tomlin's recent outings could earn him a more consistent role in the Cavaliers' rotation, especially for as long as Tyson is sidelined. So I think that's a good pickup for the Saints. He plays the forward positions. We can always use somebody of. You might know that I have Big Zion Williamson. I think I started the show talking about him and how disappointing he is as usual. He's great when he's out there, but man, he is injured a lot. And he makes a big $40 million. Dollars. It's really hard to let Big Z go because when he does play, he's so good. But a guy like Naquan could help us out, especially on the per minute basis. So the Saints picked him up. Moving right along here, you got the Alberta Cowboys. They dropped Jock Londale and picked up Kason Wallace. Kason Wallace is a second-year player out of Kentucky who plays the shooting guard position, making $5.8 million dollars. And on the season, Wallace shooting about 42%. 2.1 steals, that's really solid. 1.1 turnovers, so he's doubling up on the steals to turnovers. I like that a lot. Recent times, he's definitely a prospect player. I'm not seeing a lot of big time quality games here, but I can see where maybe the Alberta Cowboys would be interested. The Cowboys still kind of a re-gearing team. They had a big week this week, but they're still kind of rebuilding. 2023, Wallace was the 10th overall pick in the NBA draft. Out of Kentucky, you know what? It's worth a flyer. So good pickup there. Just a guy that's fairly reasonably priced that you could stash away perhaps. If you can weather your storms, you can keep that guy on the roster. Maybe he turns into something. Maybe he gets more position eligibility than just a two. Maybe he plays a little small forward. I think let's have a look at him again. 6'3", doubtful he's ever going to play small forward. So if he can maybe be a two-way guard, play the point a little bit, he could be worth something to this team. But at any rate, moving right along, the Chuck and Heat checks picked up Jalen Smith of the Bulls. This is a guy that I like. He's a big man and just a solid role player, shooting 48% this year, 6 rebounds. Got to like that. 1 turnover, not a lot of blocks, but those 6 rebounds are nice. And it's always good to have a decent big man in the lineup. They usually give you bang for the buck. His last game here against the Jazz was pretty decent. He didn't shoot so hot, but he had 8 rebounds, and the fantasy points per minute were strong in that one. He's really done well of late. He had a really good game against the Cavaliers back on the 8th. He shot 6 of 6 from the floor. That'll get it done. 11 boards. So Jalen Smith picked up here by the Chuck and Heat checks, and Jalen Smith is making $9 million. So you're going to pay this guy to be a role player for you, to be a depth guy, but not bad money spent there. So let's just move on over to the scoreboard real quick here. At any rate, let's just do the scores. By the way, that Cowboys-Raiders game is definitely going in the way of the Cowboys right now. I just saw the update, 17-6, I think. So the Cowboys starting to take control as expected. They should beat the Raiders. Anyways, on screen, you see it right here. We got the Saints over the New York Knicks, 129-70. No surprise. Knicks are a team that is banged up. They can't even get enough minutes to complete the box score. They only had 167 minutes in the game. They were led by De'Aaron Fox, almost 20 points. For the Saints, Josh Giddey is having a great season, 25.67 points in this game. He played 42 fantasy minutes. Saints also got 20 points from Aaron Gordon, 20 from Josh Hart, and they get the easy win here. The Saints go to 5-3. The Knicks drop to 0-8. The Alberta Cowboys had the game of the week. They beat the Boston Celtics 138-107. It was a huge day for pretty much everybody on the Alberta Cowboys in terms of a team game. I mean, it was just very much across the board. Nobody really had a huge game, I guess, but it was just across the board, solid numbers. Isaiah Collier at point guard, 16 points. You got 22 from Julius Randle, 21 from Okongwu. They got 22 from Norman Powell. That's a guy they just picked up in free agency, paying him 20.48 million. Got 20 from Kaishan George, 17 from Jake Podol. Solid game for the Alberta Cowboys. Congratulations there, Jacob. I really am rooting for you to turn that team around and turn it into a contender. Carolina Copperheads, one of the better teams in the league. They put up 122 against Houston. That's Williams' team. And it was 122-107 the final there. Copperheads go to 6-2 with the win. Rockets dropped to 1-7. Of course, they made all these moves, so this team is completely changed now, are the Rockets. Copperheads, of course, Joker with the big game, 27.8. They got about 19 from Evan Mobley, 18 from Nembhard, and the Copperheads roll to victory. They are 6-2 on the season. Philadelphia, an up-and-coming team, scored about 122 points today, but it wasn't enough against the Denver Nuggets. They lost 131-122. The Nuggets got 22 from Victor Wembanyama. We talked about him earlier. He's going to miss the next 4 fantasy games. Domantas Sabonis came up with 21 points, so they have a replacement at center there. But where are they going to get the points to replace Victor Wembanyama? Well, they might get them from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He had 26 fantasy points in this one in just 29 minutes. He is last year's MVP in the NBA, so you expect that. I think the Nuggets will be pretty well off without Wemby, but it will hurt a little bit. This team is a little bit vulnerable. They are still undefeated at 8-0, and the Sixers are 5-3. Poway Eagles with the big win today, 107-98 over the Pistons. They took advantage of a shorthanded Pistons crew that could not put up 240 minutes. As you can see there, the box score, they had 193 minutes played, did the Pistons. It was Ivica Zubac with 20 points, 24.5 for Giannis Antetokounmpo, 20 for Peyton Pritchard. Surprise game there. Peyton playing 33 minutes at the point and scoring big points for the Pistons. Maybe if they would have got 240 minutes, they would have won this game. They gave one away to the Eagles, and the Pistons dropped to 5-3 with the loss. The Eagles improved to 5-3. It was the Warriors against the Chuck and Heat Checks. In our final matchup, Warriors get over 127-116. Not the best game the Warriors have played. I remember about a week and a half ago, it looked like they couldn't be beat. They're showing that they're human of late, but still 127.5 fantasy points. That's not a slouchy effort. They got 25 big ones from Luka Doncic, who finally rose and became their minutes leader at the point. As you might remember, he's been playing behind some of these other guys in the rotation, like Donovan Mitchell and others. Alman Thompson is another that he's been behind because he hasn't been putting up the per-minute stats, but he's getting healthy with the Lakers, and he certainly had a huge game here in this one, scoring over 25 fantasy points in 39 minutes. They also got 20 points from Nikola Vucevic. They got 16 points from Chet Holmgren. Kobe White with a good game, 19 fantasy points. For the Heat Checks, 20 from Derek White, 24 from Michael Porter, big game there, 22 from DeAndre Ayton. Ayton's playing much better for the Lakers. What was going on with Ayton when he was up in Portland? Why couldn't you give us that stuff when you were with my team up there in the Northwest? What's up, DeAndre? What are you hating on the Rose City for? At any rate, 16 points for Hami Yaquez. He's an up-and-comer, a new guy, 24-year-old guard/forward. He can play 3 positions. I looked it up, and he's playing a lot of time at 3 different positions. At any rate, 116, not bad for the Heat Checks. This is a new team. This is a expansion franchise, and I'm really rooting for their new owner, Kagan Jacobson, to build this team into a contender. I have a lot of faith in Kagan. He seems like a very active GM, and I'm pulling for him to become relevant in the NBA Retro League. So a last little look at the standings here. You can see them on screen. Nuggets at 8-0. Warriors are 7-1. Copperheads are 6-2. Fort Wayne, Philly, San Diego, and Poway all at 5-3. Did I say 6-3 earlier? I hope not. But these teams are all 5-3. You got the Cowboys at 3-5. Heat Checks are 2-6. Houston and Boston at 1-7, and the Knicks yet to get a victory. They need to get healthy before they're even going to be able to have a chance at beating anybody in this league. All right, guys, that is going to wrap this show up. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. I'll get back to the AI voices, maybe do a quicker presentation. I just thought I'd come on here today, though, and go over the transactions and give you a little insight. Maybe I'll do some more videos like this on my night off. kind of chill out, sit here, and maybe talk about some of the players, some of the things going on in the league, give you my insight on why a guy's good, why he's not so good. Who knows? I don't know if you value my opinion or not, but I'm a fundamentalist. I'm all about the shot percentages. I'm all about limiting the turnovers and getting on those boards. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for watching and enjoy the rest of the Monday Night Football game between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Talk to y'all later.